evening, everybody. I declare the meeting open and I shall call upon Councillor Winmar to present the Welcome to Country.
Thank you, Worship. I begin by acknowledging my elders past and present and acknowledge that the meeting is being conducted on my ancestral land. This is Noongar country. Ngalak niling kurang kurang ngalak noich nija Noongar boja. Noongar mojer penyiring dinya ngalak kwabadak Noongar boja kuralong. From the beginning of time to the end, this is Noongar country. Noongar people have been graceful keepers of our nation for many, many years. Jinjin Karajin Jerpen Nijawan Noongar boja ngalamaya maya border. Look, listen and understand and embrace all the elements of Noongar country. This is forever our home. Kai Wanju, Nganko Jerpen Nija Noongar boja Dajli Wangani Noongar boja. Hello and welcome. My heart is happy as we're gathered on Noongar country and meeting here on Noongar country tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Winmar, and in response I would like to acknowledge that we do meet here on the land of the Noongar people and pay our respects to the elders past, present and those future emerging leaders. Call upon Deputy Mayor to read the dedication.
May we, the elected members of the City of Kwinana, have the wisdom to consider all matters before us with due consideration, integrity and respect for the Council Chamber. May the decisions made be in good faith and always in the best interests of the greater Kwinana community that we serve.
Thank you. We have a leave of absence previously approved from Councillor Sherilyn Wood. There are no members of the public for question time. There is nothing on item 6.1, 6.2, 6.3. Item 7.1 is confirmation of the minutes, the ordinary meeting of Council held on the 12th of April. Are there any issues within those minutes? If not, can we have a mover and a second that they be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Rouse. Moved, seconded, Councillor Wood. Anybody wish to speak? No, thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? I shall put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Declarations of interest. I have a declaration of interest to declare an impartiality interest on item 18.1, which is the Joint Development Assessment Panel application for a general industry on lot 288 Mounsey Road, Kwinana Beach. Kwinana. I'm a member of the Joint Development Assessment Panel who will be considering this item at a future meeting. The date at the time of writing my declaration hasn't been set, and I'm just providing my declaration of interest.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I have the same declaration with the same reasoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other declarations of interest? Thank you. Item 9, requests.
Just copy that.
We'll just wait for our minute secretary. Thank you. Are there any requests for leave of absence? Nil. There's nothing on items 10, 11, 12 and 13. Item 14.1 is the 2025 State Electoral Boundary Submission. Are there any questions in relation to the submission? If not, we do have a recommendation. Would somebody like to move? Move Deputy Mayor, seconded to Councillor Winmar. Deputy Mayor, do you wish to speak on the item? No. Councillor Winmar? No. Anybody wish to speak against? Put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. There's nothing on item 15. Item 16.1 is the change of a method of valuation from unimproved to gross rental valuation on lot 220 Albina Avenue, Anketel. Are there any questions on this item? If not, we have a recommendation. Would somebody like to move that way? Moved Councillor D. Wood, seconded Councillor Kearney. Councillor Wood, do you wish to speak on the item? No. Councillor Kearney? Anybody wish to speak against? I shall put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Item 16.2 are our statement of objects and reasons and proposed differential rates and the minimum payment of those rates for 2023 and 2024. Are there any questions on this item? Thank you. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship. As we know, an important part of this exercise is community consultation, and in the report it mentions that this year the City will host engagement through the Love My Kwinana engagement portal. Could we please receive a summary of just what that would look like for someone wishing to review and provide feedback?
Yes, through the chair. So what we've done this year, we're obviously going to put a lot more information on the Love My Kwinana site. So obviously the differential rates are sometimes hard for our community to understand. So there'll be a lot more information on that website where they can get some of those information on there, and it'll be a broad sort of comment section where residents can provide comments on the differential rates.
Just on that, thank you. I didn't know whether the Love My Kwinana portal or website was as popular, as easy to get to or to remember as what the City of Kwinana website or even our Facebook page. And I imagine you'll be providing a communication plan to the city.
Yes, so you're correct. So the Love My Kwinana site is sometimes hard to find, but usually what we do get is through our social media, we direct people to that page. So there will be social media posts and obviously a whole range of different sort of media releases and so forth with links to that website.
Okay, thank you. And I imagine those info cartoons, I suppose, will be part of it as well. Yeah, they were very helpful and they were good to share to other social media sites as well. CEO?
Through you, Madam Chair. One point to consider too, councillors, is that this year is a revaluation year. So we have updated the video to explain what occurs to rates as a result of changes in valuation. So that video has now been updated with the current process because the last one was done during a period of COVID. So that will be released at the same time as well. And plus, as Gary was saying, there will be a lot more information on the website as well as social media, and we're also doing a media release as well.
And I did ask the CEO a question beforehand in relation to the table that's on page 25, which shows the rate in the dollar the year before and then what's proposed. To me, that's a good table because you can find your position basically and you can do a quick calculation, or it's already there, that, you know, how much higher or lower your rate may be subject to this being approved by council, because this is only just for advertising. And you advise that this wouldn't be. Maybe you might like to share.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. So the table in there, that will be on the information on, for instance, the website and on the Love My Kwinana. As we've discussed previously, the difficulty is that we're actually only advertising for the differential rate. So the submissions are generally only supposed to be in relation to the differential rate, but there is this catch-all as well saying on any other matters. But the main reason why we have to advertise is because of the differential rates in relation to vacant land.
So any questions arise from that discussion? Otherwise, we do have an amended officer recommendation. Would somebody like to move with those amendments? Thank you. Moved Councillor Winmar, seconded to Councillor Rouse. Councillor Winmar, do you wish to speak on the item? Councillor Rouse?
No, thank you, Worship.
Anybody wish to speak against? Shall put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. There are no items on item 17. Item 18.1 is the Joint Development Assessment Panel application for a general industry on lot 288 Mounsey Road, Kwinana Beach, and of course Councillor Rouse and I have declared an impartiality interest in this item. Are there any questions on this item? If not, there's a recommendation. Moved Councillor D. Wood, seconded Deputy Mayor. Councillor Wood, do you wish to speak on the item? Deputy Mayor? Anybody wish to speak against? Put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Item 18.2 is proposed road names for lot 2 and 3 at Thomas Road, Anketel. There's proposed names and alternative names. Are there any questions on this item?
Yes, Your Worship. There's a couple down there that I'm not particularly happy with, and I'd like to comment on them. I've left my glasses at home, so I can't really read the other ones anyway, but it's
Would you like to substitute from the alternative?
I would, to put it as Gregory Street instead of that Julep. It's a bit complicated to write down and also pronounce. And also the one at the bottom, which is Sandy Hollow Elbow. Don't like the word elbow. I'd like to make it Sandy Street or another alternative from anyone else that wishes to state. Thank you.
There may be a reason why it's an elbow. I'm not sure the officers can comment on that.
Through you, Chair, offhand, I don't know. I don't have access to the specifics of how they're defined, but there will be a reason why it's an elbow and not a street. I suspect it's the short nature of the road and the 90-degree bend in the road.
That being the case, it looks like it may be difficult to remove the name elbow. Just seeking the officer's advice if any of those other alternative names would satisfy, or we could just vote on put it to the council.
Through you, Your Worship, one of the difficulties with swapping the names out generally is this is an ongoing theme for the development. So when we swap out a name, the name that we put back in the alternative list will then get allocated again in a future stage, because there are a limited number of names available because of the rules of the Geographic Namings Committee, and the theme that has been chosen is water bodies or lakes of Australia. So they are all fairly common names, and as per before, changing street for elbow is not that simple because there are specific rules around how those are allocated. So it's something we could ask the question of. So we could leave that to be determined, and the officers could raise that with the Geographic Names Committee, but we can't guarantee it'll get changed.
Okay, so do we have a seconder for the alternative?
Sorry, Your Worship, we're actually on questions.
Oh, sorry. Any other questions?
This is an unrelated question, so I can kind of work out exactly where this development is. And I wonder if Mr. Nielsen could just confirm that lot 45 is the petrol station which council gave approval to probably some years ago, but recently made an amendment, just so I can orientate myself to the to where these road names are. And I also note that that the Sandy Elbow is a cul-de-sac, which is probably makes sense why it's an elbow, Your Worship.
I just saw that on the map too.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I can confirm that site is a combination of uses. A development approval was issued for a service station, a fast food, and 2 fast food outlets as well.
Are there any other questions? At the moment, Councillor Wood had asked a question, so therefore we have a recommendation. Did you wish to move a recommendation in relation to Juelbup Street being alternative Gregory Street? Is that what? And Sandy Elbow, are you happy to leave it as it is on what the officers have advised? Thank you. Do we have a seconder for the alternative? recommendation with the alternative for Gregory Street. If not, looks like it lapses for a want of a seconder. Therefore, we do have the officer's recommendation in relation to the proposed names on the left as they are stated in the report on attachment A. Do we have a mover? Move Councillor Rouse. Second Deputy Mayor. Councillor Rouse, do you wish to speak on the item?
No, thank you, Worship.
Deputy Mayor?
Let's speak on it, but I guess this maybe if I could request that council officers provide in future these reports prior to them coming to council, so that there can be some conversation if required, Your Worship.
CEO? Do you mean in an elected members briefing session?
Yes, Your Worship.
CEO? We've,
Through you, Madam Chair, just off the top of my head, I guess it all depends upon the timing as to when we get these. But yeah, we can certainly look at it. I think the other thing too is, which we could do, is when we do get it, we could send it out as a briefing note beforehand.
as we do with the other
Yeah,
information we receive.
yeah.
I guess my
I-
intent is so that if like there's a big list and you're not
I think that,
on the fly trying to
yeah. So I think that might be the easiest thing, is if we send it out as a briefing note beforehand, and if there's any questions on it, then we can then pick it up.
Right, thank you. Thank you. Would anybody wish to speak against? Put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Item 19.1 are the accounts for payment for the month ending the 31st of March 2023. Are there any questions on any of those payments? Excuse me for a moment. Thank you. If there's no questions, there is a recommendation. Would somebody like to move that way? Oh, move Councillor Rouse, sorry, seconded Councillor Kearney. Councillor Rouse, do you wish to speak on the item?
Thank you, Worship.
Councillor Kearney? Anybody wish to speak against? I shall put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Item 20, we have two notices of motion for tonight's meeting. Sorry. Is it 20 on my report? Yeah, sorry. There's nothing on item 20. Item 20.1, a notice of motion to be introduced by Deputy Mayor Peter Veazey in relation to the performance review of the Clini Arts Centre. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, Your Worship. It is my intention to move a motion that the council request the CEO to conduct a formal performance review of the Clini Arts Centre regarding performance against the service level agreement and governance of the centre, and provide a report back to council outlining the findings of the review and any recommendations. The city has expressed concerns directly to the Clini board regarding governance issues, strategic direction, work health and safety matters. The response from the board has been very dismissive, and I would like the city to undertake a formal review of these matters due to the risks it is placing on the city. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't need do we need to move in a second?
Yeah, because you moved and seconded that you're accepting it for it to take.
Thank you. So that's been, do we have a mover to the notice of motion? I imagine you are. Moved Deputy Mayor. Seconded by Councillor Rouse. Anybody wish to speak? Because this is really just to send it to the officers. Anybody wish to speak against? Shall put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. I wish to introduce item 21.2, a notice of motion, and that is that an officer report be prepared for the consideration of council in relation to the benefits or risks associated with a 6-month trial closure to vehicles between a portion of the Strand in Wellard that affronts the retail area between Chiswick Parade and Runnymede Gate. As part of the officer's investigation, the Strand retailers and commercial owners be consulted on whether they would agree to the closure of the Strand even for a 6-month trial period. Alternatively, if a full closure is not recommended, then it would be of value to retain a reduced portion of angled parking outside the medical centre for the disabled access, persons to access in a one-way vehicular flow of the Strand. As part of the, sorry, could you just roll that up? Yeah. Sorry, as part of the recent ROC and Creative Communities 7-day makeover project, the Strand was closed to vehicle traffic. Over this period, several elected members, as well as council staff, Creative Communities personnel and volunteers themselves were approached by members of the community asking that the closure of the Strand be a permanent feature. Volunteers also independently asked why the Strand could not be permanently closed. The reasons most cited for the closure were pedestrian safety, regular unlawful parking and hooning of vehicles. The closure of the Strand is not a new request, but given the amount of community and retail feedback received during the makeover project, it's timely to research the benefits or otherwise of closing this area to the traffic on a trial basis for 6 months. So I'd like to move that motion. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that, Your Worship. Could I note your motion, but I'll just make a comment, if possible. I guess I requested a slight variation. It may not impact, but I guess what my question to you is, rather than be specific about the 6-month trial, actually put a trial based on best practice as opposed to 6 months, because best practice might not be 6 months. Does that make sense without being pedantic?
I'll just refer to Mr Elkins, given that this is his area. Is there an issue with what is best practice for a closure?
Through
So we
you,
can't
Mayor,
preempt.
it's really an economic question rather than a traffic question. To do the closure, there is a process that we follow through the Local Government Act. It's really quite simple, but it does come down to whether or not there's an economic benefit or a community benefit in doing it, and I think that's what the trial will be testing. Perhaps the CEO has some thoughts on whether there's an ideal time.
Through you, Madam Chair, I think in terms of this is what we'll assess is when we're doing the investigation and the consultation as to whether a trial is, what sort of period would be recommended for a trial. Without preempting what needs to take place with this, there's a lot of things, and as Doug has said, this is more around an economic issue rather than a roading matter. So I think we'll come back with some proposals around trials period. So I think you can leave that there, and we'll come back with some other suggestions.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody wish to speak against? Put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you for that. There are no items of late and urgent business. Item 23, elected member reports. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, Your Worship. I won't take Councillor Rouse's glory because he's probably got a 14-page pre-prepared statement. But I was involved with the 7-day makeover last week, along with yourself, Councillors Brown and Councillor Rouse. I don't think I saw any other councillors there. I would, I guess, at this like to commend Councillor Rouse and Claire Cardew, who were kind of somewhat of the driving force in the Wellard community, and certainly there's some key staff who I believe Councillor Rouse will mention in his statement. I would like to acknowledge Aaron from the depot, who was kind of the superstar for the makeover from the volunteers' point of view. And I also attended the Anzac Day Dawn service and the Wet Weather Parade, along with yourself and most of the councillors, Your Worship.
And the Kwinana Early Years 30th.
And I attended the Kwinana Early Years 30th anniversary celebration, which was held at Medina Hall last Wednesday evening. It was unfortunate that Annette Harwood was stuck in the UK, but it was still a great night to acknowledge 30 years of Kwinana Early Years in Kwinana. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Winmar.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too would also like to acknowledge Key's 30 years of servicing and empowering Kwinana families and communities, which was on Wednesday the 19th. Just for information, there was a combined youth camp, which was sponsored by Alcoa from Tuesday the 18th to the 20th, which involved staff from the Kwinana youth team, from the Institute of Indigenous Wellbeing and Sports, and from Woolwich Court. There was an opportunity to take 12 youth back on country and getting involved in team building exercises, self-awareness activities, and also getting back to nature and learning about the importance of the environment. We also attended the South Metro Zone hosted by the City of Rockham with yourself and the CEO, and also acknowledged the commemorative service for the mid-morning Anzac Day parade, which was conducted on Tuesday, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor D. Wood.
I was involved with the Anzac Day parade and the dawn service, and just for something different, we organised a helicopter flyover instead of the aircraft. Probably the Air Force couldn't afford the fuel, so but anyway, it was quite a good day except for the rain, and luckily I bought an umbrella. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rouse.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I too attended the Anzac Day service, and it was great to see a multitude of people out there for the dawn service itself and the 10:30 a.m. Although it was very wet, it was pleasing to see that people did turn out for that as well. So I thank the people of Kwinana for offering the support to our past and present serving men and women in the military. Also, just like to say, as the Deputy Mayor has preluded to, that I'd just like to talk on the 7-day makeover. During the week of Saturday the 15th of April through to Friday the 21st of April, the Strand in Wellard Village underwent a transformation from a dull and pretty much boring, lifeless area to a colourful and vibrant space that has already received predominantly rave reviews amongst our local villagers. During the course of the week, we had a total of 168 individual volunteers registered to help throughout the project, and that equated to 565 people turning up over the 7 days of the makeover, and they ranged from 3 years old to 80 plus years old, so it was a fantastic effort. Some of the volunteers were there for only a few hours for one day, while others turned up to help of the makeover every day of the week. I admire all for their contribution. Finishing times for each day got progressively later. We were there till 9:45 on Monday, 10 p.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday, 11:30 on Thursday, and culminating in a core group of people of about 10 of us who were still there until 2 a.m. on Friday morning, Friday evening, Saturday morning, applying the finishing touches. Some of the projects built by these volunteers include an alfresco parklet, a nature garden, colourful hexagon seating and tables, multiple wicking beds, and a youth zone named the Arcade, where we now have a colourful ping pong table and games such as a giant Connect 4 and cornhole. And we even have a colourful piano across the road from that area. And this is all designed and built, the youth zone was designed and built by members of the YAC and other youth in our area. And noticeably led by our amazing Youth Development Officer, Nikki Chatham. Nikki was present throughout the entirety of the project and was the first to arrive each morning and last to leave every day. In fact, over all of the 7-day makeover projects throughout Australia and New Zealand over the many years, Nikki clocked up more hours than any other previous participant. She is true inspiration to the youth of Kwinana, in my and many others' opinion, an absolute superstar. While I'm at it, I'd like to mention our Wellard Place leader, Elise Brewis. There are many people who made the project happen, but Elise's passion for the 7-day makeover initiative was one of the major reasons to revitalise the Strand 7-day makeover project progressed in the first stage, and I thank her dedication and support to the people of the Wellard Village. Our coordinator of engagement in place, Alexi Peacock, place leader Jenny Marsland, economic development officer Ivy Penny, manager community engagement Denver De Cruz, and technical asset management officer Mary Short also deserve a huge amount of praise for all that they contributed throughout the days of the makeover. Of course, this would not have been possible without the support of you, Mr. CEO, as well as Mr. Fisher and Mr. Elkins. This was definitely a top-down, bottom-up way of thinking. But not only that, I'm very proud that City is now a side-to-side way of thinking within the organisation as well. While I'm giving accolades to the City staff, I'd like to make special mention of the depot lads. When a few of them rocked up on Monday, I'm sure they were thought, what the hell is this and what the hell am I doing here, and you're asking me to do what? But by Friday it became very evident that they were all completely invested in the project, and some even rearranged their first day training days on the Friday to make sure that the makeover was completed. Without their hard work and enthusiasm, we would have ended up with a building site come Saturday morning. So please pass on my thanks to all those involved. You know, obviously people give a bad rap to council workers at times, but I think those and all staff involved really broke that mould. There are many other staff members who rocked up for a few hours or a couple of days, and it just goes to show that working for the City of Kwinana is more than just a job, and that they care for our residents, have pride in our city. I'm sure other local governments will now be looking at Kwinana for inspiration and learning that it's better to give the residents what they want instead of what they think they want. For those not aware of the project, the City engaged the services of David Enwich from Creative Communities and his 7-day makeover crew, consisting of Chief Organiser and Facilitator Jody and builders Richard and Connor, and they flew over from the east to help with the project, to design and run all the builds. David has been involved with many projects, and he stated the City of Kwinana was the best local government that he had the pleasure of working with. And Jody, Richard and Connor also said that the people of Wellard and the Greater Kwinana, that turned up to help, were the best people that they've ever worked with. All 4 of those people were exceptional and an inspiration to me and others who worked closely with them over the course of the week. It was so much fun to work so close with them, and there were a few tears actually shed when we had to say our goodbyes. The overwhelming dedication and numbers of our volunteers did not go unnoticed by them, as they were constantly amazed by the amount of people who turned up to help. Other projects they have been involved with not even come near the numbers that we had. And case in point was the last recent 7-day maker they did in Port Hedland, where they had only about 10 people attending per day. I'd like to thank Pete for their $5,000 donation, but of course I'd like to thank the RAC for the generous contribution of $100,000 as part of their Reconnect WA funding and youth placemaking grant. Not only did the RAC provide the money, but they also provided 40 plus staff members to come down over 3 days to help the project. And boy, did we make them work. I'm sure someone thought it would have been a lot easier to stay at work for the day, but I'm hoping the pleasure that they have given to the Wellard Village people and the Greater Kwinana community is worth all the pain and the hard work. The City of Kwinana RAC a debt of gratitude for not only this makeover, but also providing additional funding for our upcoming bicycle education project. Finally, I'd like to thank the contributions of some of my fellow councillors, you, Your Worship, who got your hands dirty with a little bit of painting, and your shoes dirty, I might add, I think. It's been pleasing, and that you yourself became involved and have helped out. I know you live in Wellard, but I think you would have helped with this project wherever it was throughout Kwinana. And there was a lot of impressed people who were impressed by you that you're actually there. So I've had about 5 or 6 people saying, wow, the Mayor was there. So I thank you a lot. Of course, I'd like to thank our Deputy Mayor, Peter Feasy, who was there every day doing a lot of heavy lifting and surprised all with his ability on the power tools. And he was the driving force and the conduit to getting additional projects, information and permission from the city for various projects to be completed and additions. I'd also most notably like to acknowledge Councillor Michael Brown, who was a jack of all trades and did whatever was needed to get the job done. In fact, Councillor Brown was there every night and was noticeably one of the last standing, along with Alexi, Nikki and Denver, when Tools Down were finally called at 2 a.m. on Saturday. I know you're a member of the Homestead Ridge Progress Association, but I can now say you're definitely a part of the Wellard Village people. And I'd just like to add that all 3 of you didn't just rock up to get your photo taken and pat people on the back, but you got us stuck in. I thank you all. David Enwich made the comment that he has never seen this type of commitment from local government elected members towards one of his projects, and the work we did on this project is a testament to the commitment some of our councillors have all of our councillors have to the Kwinana community. And finally, I'd just like to say that this is just the beginning, what we can be achieved throughout the Strand and Wellard Village as a whole, and I'm sure more people throughout the Kwinana are now asking how we can do something similar to this in our community. So thank you, Your Worship.
Well said. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship, and absolutely awesome recap from Councillor Rouse there for the Wellard Village 7-day makeover. I have to say, I think, just echoing the comments that Councillor Rouse made, but what an awesome example this was of what can be achieved with people power and a few big ideas. I think we'd all agree that the result was absolutely incredible. with residents from all walks of life getting involved to transform the Strand in a uniquely Wellard and community-driven way. I'm so excited to not only see residents enjoying the spruce up space, but also to see how we can apply the lessons we learned through this week in other areas of the city as well. As we heard, the feedback online and on the streets through the week has been so positive, and there's a huge amount of enthusiasm to do more of this in Wellard and across our other suburbs. I'll say a huge thanks to everyone involved, and there's so many residents, community groups, and other stakeholders to thank. And you really can't help but smile when you see everyone so proud of the enormous effort that this was. So huge well done there. I also attended the Keys 30th anniversary celebration at Medina Hall. And as we know, Keys has been providing the free support services to children, their families, and carers for over 30 years now, and it was a real privilege to attend this event to celebrate this fantastic milestone. Speaking to Keys staff and other stakeholders at the event, you could really tell that everyone was so passionate about their work and absolutely had each other's back in what can be a tough gig at times. So I commend them for their amazing achievements to date, and I have no doubt that there's another 30 years in the tank for this incredible group. Also, since our last Ordinary Council meeting, I was on the judging panel for the Lyric Scholarships Program for 2023, where a number of our younger residents will receive $1,000 scholarships and a series of mentor sessions with a professional that the city has matched them with to really give them a boost towards achieving their goals. The applications for this round were super impressive, and I'm so proud to be a councillor in this city where we're supporting our young people through initiatives like Lyric in thinking big, going for their goals, and really taking ownership of their academic learning and careers. I wish everyone a huge well done for applying to take part in this program, and I'm looking forward to the winners being announced shortly. Anzac Day, so the rain didn't deter Kwinana residents from coming out in large numbers on Tuesday to pay their respects at dawn and mid-morning Anzac Day services held at the City of Kwinana War Memorial in Medina. It really was a privilege to be able to attend both of these services alongside this council, and it really was an impressive show of support for the men and women who have bravely served and sacrificed to protect the way of life we enjoy today. I want to say a big thanks to the Kwinana RSL sub-branch, RSLWA, for hosting these special services across the morning. And another item was the Kwinana Marketplace 50th anniversary, which I attended alongside Mayor Cara Adams. It's hard to believe that it's been 50 years for the hub, now Kwinana Marketplace, and it's really an institution that's been at the heart of the city for my living memory, so kudos to the team down there and for the residents for getting involved. Thank you.
Thank you, good report. Thank you, Councillor Kearney.
I attended the Keys and the dawn service. Just I'd like to say I went to also at the final part of the makeover, which was the best part. And just to say congratulations, Matthew, you did a great job. Yeah, it was great to see, and it was great to see all the older people of Kwinana there too, the Barleys and the yeah, it was fantastic. Well done.
Thank you. There are no items of late business, so there's no answers to questions which were taken on notice, so just a quick few mayoral reports. One of the things which was really I don't think people quite grasp the uniqueness of the signing of a memorandum of understanding which lined the planning schemes of the cities of Rockingham, Cockburn and Kwinana. The trio of councils are working together to simplify the planning process by aligning our zoning and adopting consistent planning policies, design requirements and statutory provisions across these their boundaries. I do not believe that this has been done anywhere probably in Western Australia, and it's a fact that we do have an industrial area that does go across three local government areas that makes this very unique. Just a few other items I'll touch upon. I attended a dinner at the residence of the United States Consulate to Perth, Siriana Nair, also in attendance with Captain Kevin Corderer. His nickname was Q, by the way. It's easier to say than his last name. And Kevin is the United States Naval Attaché from Canberra. And so mayors and chief executives from the cities of Rockingham, Cockburn, Kwinana and Fremantle were in attendance. The purpose of the dinner was really a post-AUKUS announcement opportunity to discuss what opportunities could be developed following the recent AUKUS announcement and the anticipated build-up of American and UK Navy personnel and their families who will be moving to the region, I suppose, over the next few years. I believe some will be arriving within the next few months. And what can we as cities impacted in that region be able to offer, and what can they offer us in return? So it was actually a really good discussion, some exciting opportunities coming forward, I would say, over the next couple of years, certainly for the region. Also attended the 7-day makeover, as Councillor Rouse had so eloquently advised us all. Again, I know you gave accolades to everyone, Councillor Rouse, but you were the driving force behind this from the very start. You're the driving force behind the Wellard Village people and have been so for many years. In my time as Mayor, I cannot remember being involved or having the opportunity to be involved in a community project quite like this. It was absolutely amazing to see just so many people that came together who came out of the woodwork even. We had former councillor Wendy Cooper and her husband showed up for nearly every day. We had members of the Medina Residents Group and from other ratepayers associations. So whilst it was Wellard central by virtue of the funding, etc., I know that other areas now, as picked up by Councillor Rouse, are also looking to say, well, what can be done in their areas to make the improvement that we've seen so instantly in Wellard. But by goodness, there was so much work, hours, time, sweat and nerves going into whether they were ever going to get finished on time. But it's just the start, and it certainly has been an impact straight away. And it was great when I drove down the Strand this afternoon with my grandson to do, and actually the CEO also made comment that, you know, people are actually using the additional seating that's been put there. The children were actually playing on the table tennis tables, etc. So a great community effort for all those concerned, especially the amount of staff and the workers that were really able to help us get through. On the other end of the town, I went to the Perth Bala Murgan Temple, the Hindu temple in Mandogalup, to watch the maiden run of a purpose-built 21-foot chariot, which was pulled by many, I'd say 100 men and 100 women. They went all around the temple. This was a maiden run ahead of the big blessing and the festival, which ends next Saturday. So if you would like to see something really culturally unique, I would encourage you to go to the Bulamurgan Temple in Mandogalup on Saturday to see the actual official blessing of the chariot and to watch a very impressive display. I attended the Bertram Primary School, was it on Tuesday, along with Lieutenant Sean Logan from the Royal Australian Navy and Mr. Ron Hiscock from the Kwinana RSL. One of the things which I found not only was a lovely ceremony, but Lieutenant Logan is actually a resident of Kwinana Village, moved in, and it actually went to one of the Meet the Neighbour events very recently that was sponsored by the City of Kwinana, and made comment to me of how he likes reading our City of Kwinana Facebook pages and all the things that we are doing, and he was able to meet his community. He's been in the Navy for 32 years from Victoria, but the fact that they've chose to make Wellard their home, and was certainly really impressed with the 7-day makeover as well. So there you go, just a bit of positive feedback. Also attended the RSL Kwinana sub-branch dawn service and morning service. Like many of my other local governments, it seems that lots of people come out for the dawn service. In fact, I reckon talking to some of the RSL, they believe it was about 1,500 that showed up, because you can't see everybody because it was so dark. And I think the helicopter flyover was really, really well received. It came very close, a lot closer than what the aircraft flyovers. So look, they are my few announcements. Happy to ask questions, but I just would like to say a passing comment I do get my hands dirty from now and then, every now and then. It proves that I do, and it was a great experience. So look, nothing further. There are no confidential items. I'm very happy to declare the meeting closed at 6:14. Thank you for your attendance.